See how the food storage is done with the help of the modified stem. So examples of the food storage which we see in modified stem are the underground stems, and these underground stems are seen in plants like potato, ginger, turmeric, zamindkand, then colocasia. Okay, so these are the examples of plants which have the food stored in their underground stem. So we know that the root is the portion which is seen inside the soil, but there are few stems which will grow underground. So these underground stems are nothing but what we eat as potato, then ginger, turmeric. So these are all underground stem portion. Along with that, we have other two plants which is called as zamindkand and the colocasia. Okay, so the zamindkand is nothing but the chena എന്ന് പറയുന്നില്ലേ നമ്മൾ, അതാണ് ഈ zamindkand, and colocasia is nothing but ചേമ്പ്, നമ്മൾ മലയാളത്തിൽ ചേമ്പ് എന്നാ പറയുക. So these are all examples of underground stem, and these organs, they act as organs of perennation to tide over conditions unfavorable for growth. So what is this perennation? It is nothing but it is the capacity of the plant to survive through harsh conditions. Okay, so they to withstand the winter season and the very cold conditions, they will act as region of or the organ of perennation, and this organ will help them to form after season to season. ഒരു സീസൺ കഴിഞ്ഞ് അടുത്ത സീസൺ, ആ വിന്റർ സീസൺ ഒക്കെ കഴിയുമ്പോൾ again they will start growing. Okay, so this organ will act as region of or the organ of perennation to tide over conditions unfavorable for their growth. Once the favorable conditions return, they will start growing using this organ. Okay, so this is about a modification of stem to store food. Now let us see the next modification, that is the stem tendrils. So there are aerial stems who have very weak stems. So one includes the stem tendrils which are produced in few plants. Okay, so the example we can say in the case of climbers, we see a lot of climbers, right? So climbers and creepers, both they have this structure which is called as tendril, which means that their stem portion is modified to form these tendrils. Okay, and they are nothing but they are axillary buds. I hope you remember about axillary buds, which is grown near the nodes of the leaf, right? So these axillary buds are the one who change into or who develop into stem tendrils. So these tendrils will be very slender and they will be spirally coiled. You can see this, right? So this is the stem tendril in the cucumber. You can see stem tendrils in pumpkin. You can see it in watermelon. You can see in different plants, right? So plants usually they climb using these stem tendrils and they provide support for that. So to climb or to move upon or to attach to a surface, these tendrils will help them. So they are slender and spirally coiled structures which develop from the axillary buds. So axillary buds are the buds which are formed at the tip of the nodes, right? So they develop from these region, and examples of these tendrils are gourds like cucumber, pumpkins and watermelon. So in case of pumpkin and watermelon, these tendrils will not help them to climb, but they act as these are all structures which just twist around various substances, like when they creep on ground, no? So these tendrils will get twisted around some other plants or objects on the ground, right? So they do not help in climbing. We know that pumpkins and watermelons are creepers, right? So they just creep on the ground, and in that time these tendrils will help them to coil around or to twist around the substances which is seen in the ground. Okay, another example of the stem tendril is the grapevine. So all gourds like cucumber, pumpkin and watermelon are examples of stem tendril, and then we have the grapevines which are also example of stem tendril. Okay, now let us move on to the next part, which is the thorns. So we are able to find in some plants the stem portion is modified to form thorns. So these thorns are nothing but they are woody, pointed and straight structures which are again developed from the axillary buds. Like the tendrils, they are also developed from the axillary buds. So they are woody, they are straight and they are pointed, and they are developed from the axillary buds. And why do plants have this thorns? They have these thorns to protect plants from browsing of animals. അപ്പോൾ animals വന്ന് ഇവരെ കഴിക്കാണ്ടിരിക്കാൻ വേണ്ടിയാണ് they have developed this thorns for protection. Okay, so these protect plants from browsing animals. And examples of the thorns are, it is seen in plants like citrus, like the lemon tree. If you have seen the lemon tree, you can find thorns on it. Then in citrus plants we find this structures called as thorns. And bougainvillea, which is we say it as paper flower, no? So if you see the paper flower stem, you can find many of the thorns on its stem portion. So they are all modified stems which protects the plants, right? You can see it here. So these are all thorns. They develop from the axillary buds. Okay, so this is about thorns. Now let us move on to the next part, which is called as the Phylloclad. So this Phylloclad is nothing but they are structures who have structures which are very similar to the thorns, but we can't say that it is developed from stem. These spines or thorns on their body, it is developed from the leaf portion. Okay, so let us see about the Phylloclad. You know about this. Let us see about it, and then I will say what it is. So this Phylloclad is nothing but it is a green, flattened or fleshy cylindrical stem. So these plants which come under this Phylloclad will have green, flattened or fleshy cylindrical stem. So you can see this. This is the cactus plant, which we commonly call as cactus plant, right? So its original name is its biological name is Opuntia. Okay, so this Opuntia, which is called as cactus plant, they have green flattened stem portion. The flattened portion which we see is the stem, right? And in some plants they will have green fleshy cylindrical stem. You can see the euphorbia, it is also coming under this category. So this is the cylindrical stem, this is the flattened stem. So these plants, this Phylloclads, they have green stem, and these green stems may be either flattened as like in Opuntia, or it can be fleshy and cylindrical, which we see in euphorbia. Okay, and these stem are the portion which contains the chlorophyll which is needed for photosynthesis. So we usually know that a plant carries out photosynthesis process in their leaf portion, but these plants, they do not have leaves to carry out photosynthesis because their leaves are modified to spines or thorns. So you understood the difference between the thorns in citrus plant and the thorns in the Opuntia and euphorbia. So these plants, thorns or spines are developed from the leaf part. They do not have leaf, so instead the leaves are modified into thorns or spines. But in the case of the citrus plants, the stem is modified, that is the axillary bud of the stem is modified to the thorns. Okay, so the stems, they are green in color because they contain chlorophyll which is needed for photosynthesis. And why are the leaves modified to spines in these structures? As they live in arid regions. Arid regions means where the availability of water is less and the temperature will be high. So as these plants are found in arid regions, they will have lack of water. So to prevent transpiration process, the leaves are modified into spines so that more transpiration will not happen from their body, right? So this is about the Phylloclad. Now let us move on to the next part. So now let us see about the subaerial stems, children. Few of the underground stems, they just grow as runners or stolons or offsets or the suckers. Okay, so you'll learn about runners, stolon, offset and suckers. So if you take the case of runners, these runners are structures which are seen in grass and strawberries. So these grass and strawberries, they will spread out to new niches. It means that their stem will spread out to new niches. നിങ്ങൾ കണ്ടിട്ടുണ്ടാവും പുല്ല് വളരുന്നത്. So one of its stem will grow near to the ground and it reaches the other place, and from there a new grass would have developed. So this runners are the structures which will spread to new niches, and when the older parts die, new plants will be formed from these runners. Okay, so that is how grasses and strawberries are growing. These runners, they are similar to the stolon also. I will show you how. So this is example of a runner, children. You can see the grass is moving out. Its stem portion, it's just stem portion is growing on to new niches. New niches means new places, and from there, when the old parts die, the new plants will be produced from these portion. Okay, so this is how runners are developing. Now let us see the next part, which is the stolon. So the stolon, these are slender lateral branch that arise from the base of the main axis. See, runner, I told that it arises from the stem, but the stolon, it arises from the base of the main axis. ഈ മെയിൻ ആക്സിസ് എന്ന് പറയുന്നത് സ്റ്റെമ്മിന്റെ മെയിൻ ആക്സിസ് ആണ് പറയുന്നത്. സോ ഇൻ ദിസ് ഫ്രം ദിസ് സെൻട്രൽ ഓഫ് ദ ദറ്റ് ഇസ് ഇൻ ദ ബേസ് ഓഫ് ദ മെയിൻ ആക്സിസ് ദേ ഡെവലപ്പ് സ്ലെൻഡർ ലാറ്ററൽ ബ്രാഞ്ച് and it will grow aerially for some time, and then it will arch towards to touch the ground. Okay, the develop avunathu like runner, it is not just developing from the stem, but it develops from the base of the main axis. Main axis എന്ന് പറയുന്നത് main stem എന്നാണ്. അപ്പോൾ ആ main stem എന്നാണ് ഈ ഒരു portion develop ആവുന്നത്. And how is it? It is slender. It means that it is very it is very flexible. Then it is slender lateral branch that arise. Lateral means it arises after some time. Okay, ആ പ്ലാന്റ് വളർന്ന പാടല്ല വരുന്നത്. ഇൻസ്റ്റെഡ് they will arise after some time, and they will grow aerially for some time. Aerially means they will grow in air for some time, and after that they will arch downwards to touch the ground. അപ്പോൾ ഇത് കുറച്ചു കാലം കാറ്റിൽ നേരെ തന്നെ വളർന്നിട്ട് after that it will arch towards to touch the ground. That is, it will arch downwards to touch the ground. Downwards എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞാൽ ഭൂമിയുടെ അടുത്തേക്ക് പോകുന്ന പോലെയാണ് അത് വളരുക. So for some time they will grow aerially, and then they will touch the ground. Okay, an example of plant who does it is mint and jasmine. So when these stolons, they reach a particular place, and when the conditions are favorable for them, they will give rise to a new plant. Okay, now let us learn about the next stem, which is the offset. So these are also lateral branch. Lateral branches are nothing but they are the secondary branch which arise from the main axis of the stem. So these are also lateral branches with very short internodes. It means that the space between the leaves will be very, very less, and each node will bear a rosette of leaves and a tuffet of roots. So once the internodes, once the lateral root branch out of the main axis, they will grow and they will form short internodes. ചെറിയൊരു internodes ഉണ്ടാവുള്ളൂ, and at the end portion, that is at the node portion, each of the node, it will be bearing a rosette of leaves and tuffet of roots. So they will have a rosette of leaves and also tuffet of roots. So this is how they are modified to carry out growth. Okay, so it is also a lateral branch with the short internodes, and each nodes bearing a rosette of leaves and a tuffet of roots. Examples of this offsets are aquatic plants like Pistia, which is also called as water lettuce. So this is water lettuce, and other example is Eichhornia. E is silent there. Okay, it is Eichhornia, which is also called as water hyacinth. I hope you remember what is water hyacinth, right? So these are all aquatic plants which have these offsets. So in them, lateral branches with the short internodes are formed, and each of the nodes will bear a rosette of leaf and a tuffet of roots. Okay, now let us move on to the last part, which is the sucker. So it is also a lateral branch that originates from basal underground portion, okay, of the main stem. So where does it arise from? It arises from the basal underground portion of main stem. അപ്പോൾ ഇത് ആക്സിസിൽ തന്നെ ആ മെയിൻ സ്റ്റെമ്മിൻ്റെ ആക്സിസിന്, ബട്ട് ഇറ്റ് ഗ്രോസ് അണ്ടർഗ്രൗണ്ട്. ഓക്കെ, സോ ആ സ്റ്റെമ്മിൻ്റെ ഏറ്റവും ലാസ്റ്റ് പോർഷനിലുള്ള ആ ഭാഗത്തു നിന്നാണ്, സ്റ്റെമ്മിൻ്റെ അണ്ടർഗ്രൗണ്ട് പോർഷൻ നിന്നാണ് ദിസ് lateral branches arising. So it is the lateral branch that arises or originates from the basal underground portion of main stem. So this is the basal underground portion. You can see the soil here. So just below it we find the underground portion of the main stem, and from this main stem they will grow, they will originate, and they will grow horizontally. Okay, and they will be growing horizontally beneath the soil. മണ്ണിൻ്റെ അടിയിൽ തന്നെ ആയിരിക്കും ഇവർ വളരുന്നത്, and then they will come out obliquely upwards. So they will suddenly come out upwards, giving rise to leafy shoots. So this is how the suckers are developing. So it is the lateral branch that originates from basal underground portion of the main stem. Main stem in the basal portion, that is മണ്ണിന്റെ തൊട്ടടിയിലുള്ള stem portion ആണ് ഇവർ arise ചെയ്യുക. They will grow horizontally beneath the soil, which is inside the soil. ഇവർ lateral branch എന്ന് പറയുന്നത് it will grow horizontally beneath the soil, and they will come out obliquely upwards, giving rise to leafy shoots. An example of plants who grow by the suckers are banana, pineapple, and chrysanthemum. Okay, hope you know what is chrysanthemum is, right? So these are nothing but they are flowers which we grow for ornamental purposes. So these flowers also they develop new plant with the help of these horizontal structures, which will grow obliquely upwards, which will give rise to leafy shoots. So we can say that these suckers, the offsets and the stolon and the runner, they act as the vegetative part of the plant, which helps in producing new plant. Okay, so these are all the different modifications of stem. So I hope you are clear with this, children. Go through your textbook, read your textbook properly. If you have any doubts, you can ask to me. We will start with the leaf portion in the next class. Okay, Om Namah Shivaya. Thank you, children.